Hello there everybody, Sam's Trains here, welcome back to the railway and welcome to another review. Today I'm looking at a brand new model from Rapido. Rapido have produced a ton of SECR rolling stock recently, and there's been so much that I couldn't possibly cover it all. But their latest release was a brand new SECR Brakevan, and I love Brakevans, so I've decided to cover it. And Brakevans are interesting because obviously most manufacturers produce Brakevans, and I find it really fascinating to look at the Brakevans from different manufacturers and see which is best. And I also think there's an element of one-upmanship there as well, where each manufacturer tries to outdo the others with every new release. And if there's one company that's pretty good at one-upmanship and pushing the boundaries in terms of detail and what's possible, it is Rapido. So this video I'm hoping should be quite interesting. So the new Brakevan is this. It is an all-new SECR Brakevan, and this one is a 6-wheel Brakevan, which I believe makes it unique in my collection. I've got 8-wheeled Brakevans, which are bogeyed obviously, but I believe this is the only 6-wheeler I will own, so that'll be really interesting. In terms of price, this is an expensive Brakevan. The RRP is £39.95, so obviously the best part of £40. And I picked this up from my retailer of choice, Hattons, for £33.96. And if you'd like to do the same, I'll pop an affiliate link in the description for you. So that is obviously very expensive. Yes, this is an expensive Brakevan, but would you believe I've seen quite a lot worse. The last Brakevan I looked at, which was the Bachmann Dancehall Brakevan, cost around £10 more than this. So while this might be expensive, I think Rapido are ahead of Bachmann anyway, aren't they? And this has got the extra axle, which is obviously going to add to the price. So we're going to take a look at this. Hopefully it will be impressive. Let's see what Rapido were able to do with this. So as you can see, this comes in quite a small box. The brake is pretty well crammed in there. Can't wait to see what this is like. Let me show you the end of the box so you can see the version I've got. So this is the SECR 6-wheel Brakevan. It's product code 931001 in the SECR grey, and it's number 2033. And there's quite a lot to choose from in terms of these Brakevans from Rapido. You've got the 6-wheel with the dual veranda. I believe that's what I've got here. They're also producing one that just has one veranda at one end, which is quite an unusual look. I'm not sure if that one is out yet, but it might be one to look out for when that does finally come, if it's not already with us. Right, so we've got an accessories bag, which came out. Look at this, we've got some tiny little details here. I can't even make out what those are, but they might be etched. They're on a tiny little sprue, if they're plastic, I guess. Yeah, let's see if we can figure out what those are. We've got some sort of paperwork here. Okay, SECR 6W Brakevan. So this is awesome. It's just a wagon and we've got some information on it. Feel free to pause and read that if you'd like to. If you've got a problem, you can fill out the warranty form and sort that out. Right, what's in the poly bag? This was my question. Right, so some SECR 6-wheel Brakevans were fitted with small wagon label clips. Right, yeah, so that's what those are. And they have included those for you to separately fit if you want to. And it also shows you where to fit them and some guidance as to how to fit them, so that's awesome. And with that, I think that's pretty much all we need to know. So I'll put the poly bag to one side. Let's have a look at the Brakevan, shall we? Wow, quite a bright roof on there, I just noticed that. Right, let's get it out. Gosh, it's tiny, isn't it? Wow. Very, very small, cute Brakevan. I like that a lot. All right, here we go. So in terms of the weight, yeah, it's not dreadfully heavy. But actually, given how small this Brakevan is, how short it is, the weight doesn't feel too bad at all. And the level of detail and the finish already look absolutely stunning, don't they? So we're going to have a really close look at this in just a second. But first of all, let's have a bit of background on these Brakevans in real life, and then I'll show you this thing up close. The SECR 6-wheel Brakevan can be traced back to 1898, when the first batch of 10 was ordered by the South Eastern Railway. These had the single verandas, I believe. More Brakevans would be built between 1900 and 1909, and those more closely resembled the Brakevan we see here, with the veranda at either end. When grouping came, all 90 examples passed into Southern Railway ownership, and all but 4 survived into the BR era too, which was astonishing given their age at the time. In contrast with the huge number that survived nationalisation though, only 1 remains in preservation, and it's one that was built in 1898. So there it is, up close and personal for you, Rapido's new SECR 6-wheel Brakevan. And I'm not going to beat around the bush here. This is the greatest Brakevan I have ever owned. The level of detail, the features, the quality, all miles ahead of pretty much anything else I've ever collected. Bachmann, for one, should be ashamed of that dancehall Brakevan because that was £10 more expensive than this, and yet this completely beats it in terms of the detail and the finesse and really the quality as well. Yeah, it really is wonderful. So let's get started. It weighs in at 35 grams, which I don't think is too bad for the size of this thing. That's only 10 grams lighter than the dancehall, which is obviously massively bigger than this. And that's because I believe the chassis is die-cast on this. Certainly the suspension springs and the axle boxes, those are all made of metal, and the finish on those parts is excellent as well. Although the finish on the rest of the van is very pleasing as well. It just looks like painted wood in terms of finish, which is awesome. The decoration is also very, very good quality. The SECR lettering obviously looks great, as does the rest of the lettering and numbering, can't fault that. And then all of the lamp brackets and such are separately painted as well, and also separately fitted. Yep, most of these Brakevans just have moulded lamp brackets, and if you're lucky they're painted. Well, these ones are fully separately fitted, and that is marvellous. In terms of the handrails, these are also separately painted. I believe they are plastic, and that's because you can't make wire handrails, obviously, that follow this shape, at least not as far as I know. So those are plastic, and they are a little bit fragile, to be honest, so it's worth sort of avoiding those when you pick up the model, but they don't seem overly fragile by any means. Let's start by looking at some of the other details then. So we'll look at the underframe to begin with, which is just incredible. The complexity down here is almost shocking. I think the footboards here are a little bit wonky in places. Yeah, some of these little steps under the doors, not perfectly straight, which is unfortunate, but they are very fine pieces, and these top steps in particular are only connected sort of in the centre, so it's almost inevitable that those are going to bend and flex, but again, just be very, very careful with those. The wheels look awesome. You've got that sort of Southern / SECR style on the wheels, which I love. And underneath, it's just unbelievable. You've got full brake rigging, full chassis detail, absolutely awesome. And the axles themselves have proper bearings on them. What a truly high quality feature that is. It's very, very rare to see that on 00 rolling stock. But as you can see, if I turn one of these axles, it keeps going and going and going. That will also reduce wear as well. I mean, these are just not going to wear out ever, are they, realistically? So that is awesome. Look at it, it's still going. Wow, astonishing. The buffer beams are nicely detailed as well. You've got these very fine metal buffers, not sprung or anything, but they are, like I say, very fine and good looking. Sadly, no screw link couplings provided as an option to fit onto these hooks. I guess chain link for SECR days. So that's something that I think could have been improved, but obviously with the NEM couplings fitted, you can't use those anyway, but still, to have the choice of an optional extra would have been pretty good. The verandas are nicely detailed as well. It looks like these doors are separately fitted. Maybe that's just to give some variation in the different versions of the model Rapido can offer, but it actually makes the doors look like they could actually open, even though I don't think they can. The doors are also detailed on the backside, which is unusual. That's not always the case with a Brakevan, so that's great to see. And you've also got this sort of, I guess it's a little support, is it, to hold the roof, which is a separately fitted piece too. The Brakevan has glazing, as you can see, and this is the amazing part. Behind that glazing, inside the Brakevan, we have a painted interior, and the inside walls are fully moulded. you've got planking and riveting and framework inside there, which is just absolutely awesome. And we've also got the brake controls and the seats and such. It is by far the most detailed Brakevan I think I've ever seen. Really, really impressive. And then you've got a little chimney on the top, which I think is possibly just part of the roof moulding, but it has been separately painted so that it looks good. So it's an amazing, amazing Brakevan. Almost all of the detail is separately fitted. You've got a proper interior for once, that's amazing. And yet the price is still less than some other less complex Brakevans on the market. So well done, Rapido. I absolutely love this thing. It's the best Brakevan in the collection and by no means the most expensive. So that gets a big thumbs up. But we need to get it down onto the track. Let's see how it performs on its proper bearings. What a feature that is. And let's unite it with a nice SECR loco. So here is my test setup for the Rapido SECR Brakevan. I've gone for my pretty much go-to SECR goods loco, which is the P-Class in the grey. It's got some open wagons coupled up to it already, including one of Rapido's SECR ones. And then, of course, ready to be coupled, we've got the new 6-wheel brake. And I'll test the coupling in just a second, but first of all, let me show you how this fared on the Gordon's Hill rolling test. And the answer is it fared extremely well indeed. Considering this is not a 2-axle vehicle and it has friction from 3 axles affecting it, not just 2, this got a really, really long way. So those bearings obviously did a great job. And it also goes to show that although Rapido have obviously put a massive amount of work into all of that brake rigging and the detail and the finish and all that other stuff, they haven't neglected the running qualities. And really that is the most important thing above everything else in terms of rolling stock. So extremely free rolling, and I've not talked about this until now, I've saved it till this bit, but yeah, filming this so far, it's been borderline annoying trying to keep the thing still to film it. Yeah, it doesn't take much of a slope at all before this starts going. Obviously, it's a good problem to have. It's how rolling stock should be, in my opinion. But yeah, it just goes to show what difference those bearings have made. Anyway, are the couplings at the right height? Let's back up the P-Class and find out. I will be surprised if not, but we need to know. So here goes. Go real slowly. Yep, I heard a clink, so I think we're probably good there. The Oxford coupling hook hasn't come down, but that's no reflection on the Rapido one. So hopefully we should be good there, are we? Sorry, bear with me, bit of a fumble there. Let's start the loco then and see how it all gets on together. I'm going to be watching the Brakevan around the curves, and I'll also test it on some points as well, just to verify that the performance is good. But so far, it looks perfect. There goes the P-Class, such a lovely smooth runner, perfect loco really to test these wagons. And then we've got the Brakevan. Let's keep an eye on this as it goes around the curves. I've got to say it looks absolutely fantastic, doesn't it? You can see how small it is compared with the wagon it's coupled to. It's only about the same length of a wagon, so it's a tiny thing. And yet it's not too light, and it is absolutely jam-packed with detail. And like I say, that interior is unlike any other that I've seen. It's almost a pity that there's no lighting inside here. Maybe a little lamp in there, or perhaps some light coming from the stove would help to illuminate that incredible level of detail. So I think maybe there's still scope to add even more to these models, but then again, that would add to the price. So yeah, an incredible model, seems to be absolutely fine on the track, handling the curves with no issues whatsoever, and there's obviously virtually zero friction in the bearings and the axles because it's all such high quality. But let's get this over some points backwards and forwards, just make sure there are no issues there. Okay, let's go a little bit quicker for this section just to make sure we expose any instability that may be there. I'm pretty sure there is none though. All the wheels are nice and straight this time, by the way. No wobbling that I've noticed. Seems fine. Yeah, I think we're okay. No derailment that I noticed. Forwards all right. A little bit of sort of jumping, but didn't come off, so I'm not bothered about that. Yeah, perfectly good. One more just for good measure. A bit quicker. Yeah, stable as you like, isn't it? How awesome. So there you go. That means it's going to get a 5 on performance. Speaking of ratings, let's do some of those. It was extremely tempting to just give this 5-star on detail, but I do want to reflect the fact that some models have lighting, sprung buffers and chain link couplings included, and this one didn't. I don't think these are major omissions by any means, but I do want to reflect them in the score, so I've knocked it down to 4.5. Generally, the level of detail is incredible. The finish, the paintwork, absolutely marvellous. The underframe is possibly the best I've ever seen on a Brakevan, and obviously the interior is by far the best I've ever seen on a Brakevan. Absolutely marvellous, I think. The performance, like I say, can't be faulted. There's not much to explain here. Possibly the most free-rolling Brakevan I own, despite the fact that it's got 3 axles producing drag and not just 2. Couplings absolutely perfect, fine on points, fine on curves, no way to fault it whatsoever, so it's a 5-star. The quality again is fantastic. I've given it 4.5 star. It's got the die-cast chassis, which is great. It's got the proper bearings, I love that. The separately fitted details are fitted straightly and with 0 visible glue as far as I'm concerned. I do think the handrails are a little bit fragile because they're made of plastic, and also some of the footboards are not 100% straight. I think up close some of the painting on the lamp brackets is not that accurate, but these are very, very minor things, so I've just knocked it down by 0.5 star. Value for money then. Now this is obviously a very expensive Brakevan. The RRP is £39.95 and a typical retailer price is around £33.96. So yeah, that's a lot of money for a Brakevan, but on this occasion, for the most part, I think it's worth it. Most Brakevans are not worth this kind of money in my opinion, but this one kind of is. The interior detail is so incredible on this, and so is the exterior detail, come to mention it. So while I don't think it's a bargain, while I don't think it's 5-star on value, for the most part you do get what you pay for, and this is an incredibly high quality and a massively well detailed model. So a well-deserved 8.80 out of 10, that's a grade of B. Yeah, it's very, very hard to get an A on rolling stock on this channel, but a B is a very good mark, I would say. Into the logbook we go, and this is 2nd place below the Vix Ferry van and above the Jordan Spreader. So that means this year, Rapido are in the top 2 slots in terms of rolling stock. What a great manufacturer they are. Well, there you have it then, folks. That will bring us to the end of yet another Rapido rolling stock review. And I'm, yeah, obviously very, very impressed. As someone who does complain a lot about the prices of model railways, I want to reiterate that really I'm happy to pay a lot of money for models if those models meet the mark in terms of quality, detail and features. And this is a really good example of a model that does exactly that. It costs a lot of money, but the moment I got this out of the box and started to inspect it, I could understand why. And now that I've seen all that this model has to offer, I am by no means disappointed in this thing for £33, whatever it was. Yeah, it's really, really worth the money. And I think if that was true more of the time in model railways, I would complain a lot less about the pricings. And to other manufacturers, you know, if you want to charge 30 to 40 quid for a Brakevan, this is the kind of thing you're going to have to produce if you want it to be worth the money. So, Backman, I hope you're listening. For now though, thank you so much for watching. I will see you very, very soon with another review. You take care, comment down below what you think about this thing, and also check the description if you're interested in my affiliate links. For now though, I'll see you very soon. Alright, cheers folks, you take care.